Now, some technology news. The popular video conferencing app Zoom has seen its revenue skyrocket as its profits more than doubled due to the coronavirus. So why is Zoom so popular? Well, Kevin Curran is the Professor of Cybersecurity at Ulster University, and he can tell us more. Good afternoon to you, Kevin. Do Zoom's profits, is it simply down to COVID?
Their profits were climbing anyway. You know, they made an unbelievable, actually, 355% jump in revenues in the second quarter, and they're expected to have revenues of 2.4 billion by the end of the year. They have now 300 million daily users. Yes, before the pandemic, there was only 10 million users. So, you know, there's been a big jump there. But they were on for success. They have carved out a loyal audience for many years because their technology is actually quite good. It really does work better than a lot of other video conferencing tools out there. Their main success came from they had a great mobile application that it really worked well on mobile phones, because prior to Zoom coming along, a lot of the video conferencing used, especially for businesses and enterprises, was specific hardware-based room cameras with a kind of a control center as well. But again, that was fine if you spend thousands of pounds on a product. But Zoom, what they did was optimize it for mobile, and that's where they really got their success early on.
And that success, let's say financial success, was, I remember, you had to pay for it or pay after a certain amount of time. But I don't think that applies anymore. So how are they still able to make money?
Yeah. I mean, you're right. The free service, you're able to use that for a certain number of attendees, as well as for, you know, over the hour. In the initial stages, you could only have 2 users for 20 minutes. But they do have free educational, you know, they've been very good to target in schools and education and universities, and that's where they got critical mass as well. But at the moment, they make their money from the enterprise users again. So enterprises have to pay them a fee to get more features with that, but that's generally where they make their money.
It is quite amazing. It's a word, along with, you know, hand sanitizer, that is on the lips of everybody of all ages, you know, from youngsters up to grannies. Zoom, it's there, it's part of our vocabulary now. Do you think that would have happened anyway if it hadn't been for the COVID crisis?
Like I said, it was right from the start, from their launch about 7 years ago, really, that they have been increasing year on year. But no, there's no doubt COVID completely, the one area which it has completely transformed society has been in remote conferencing again. So we have the house parties, we have the WebExes, we have our FaceTimes, we have our Skypes. There's a lot of product out there. But again, just because Zoom, because of the easy install, the way it works on multiple devices, again, people have found that so much easier to use. Because again, there's one person behind this called Eric Yoon. He's Chinese born. He applied 9 times to get a visa to the United States. He went to work for Cisco, which had one of the leading video conferencing products at the time, WebEx, and that's still used. But anyone who's used WebEx knows that you have to have different plugins. There's multiple stages in the installation. Zoom eradicated that by just making it easier for users to install. And like I said, it works on many, many platforms.
And its popularity, some would say, has put an immense strain on the infrastructure that we have. It just wasn't quite prepared, maybe for COVID. Maybe this is a silver lining. We'll have a better infrastructure when we come out of this. But people needed to have good security, I presume, on their computers, because there was a wee bit of hacking and people jumping into meetings, wasn't there? Remember, maybe that was just the early days.
It was more or less the early days. Now they have hired ex-Facebook security guru Alex Stamos and some other excellent security teams. They really have buckled down on security, because there was a lot of outcries on various features that they did. And what you refer to, Zoom bombing, is where people would just guess the numbers of the ID of a meeting and would just bomb the meeting with pornographic images or just lurid language or whatever else again. So that was a big problem, but they have worked on that to make it harder for people to find out the codes for meetings. Again, they came under a lot of criticism because they had initially claimed that the Zoom was end-to-end encrypted. That means that no one could snoop on a conversation, but they had to backtrack on that later. They've also been found that they were passing user data onto Facebook, Again, so a lot of these things they've been caught out for, but I must say that they have improved a lot of security features. They turned on features now which were not enabled by default before, which led to problems. So that it's more secure than it was at the start of COVID, that's for sure. But they still have work to do.
But in terms of political scrutiny, it's been under that because of its ties to China.
It is. I mean, we're in the new era now with the US penalizing a lot of, Chinese companies as well. But in this case, because it has been, founded, yes, by a Chinese person, but he's been living in the United States for the last 20 years again. So, again, most of the employees are American. So I don't think something like this will face some of the scrutiny like TikTok has come under and Huawei and others. So I think that the US government will probably leave Zoom alone.
Well, when we come through the crisis, I think it's a dead cert, really, that video conferencing apps will remain absolutely crucial, because there will be an increase in the number of people remote working from home. And, Zoom is with us for the near future anyway, I think.
Oh, yeah, definitely. It's hard to, once you have a kind of a critical mass, then you kind of always move on to success. And with 300 daily users, again, Zoom is set to become probably the de facto video conferencing app for the next number of years.
Great. Well, that's great for that update. Thank you very much. As I say, it's very much part of our vocabulary now, and Zooming, it's become sort of like an active verb as well, But good to talk to you. That's Kevin Curran. He is the Professor of Cyber Security at Ulster University.